Hey everyone, so this is the week 5 final assignment. We're so close to the end. So I'll go through all the directions in the rubric. You should have clicked on the rubric, then it downloads it, you tell it to open it, blah blah. The video playlist is where you're listening to this, and other online resources are just additional links of stuff that could be useful and helpful to you. Okay, it's the points all set up here, so I'm going to go and open that rubric. Of course, this looks a little different for you than just right now for me because you have the published syllabus and I'm still working on that. So here's what the rubric should look like when you download. So you're going to pick a national or state park. It's really nice if the park is local to you, but you don't have to be. You just need to make sure it's a national or state park. So you could pick a national park like the Grand Canyon or a state park like, I can't think of one now, but there's tons of California state parks. Oh, like the Antelope Valley Poppy Preserve, I'm pretty sure it's a state park. So either one's fine. Just start with that. This will help you and focus your whole paper down to something that's reasonable. It is entirely possible that if you pick like Yellowstone, you'll want to focus into a specific area in the park, like a lake, a meadow, whatever. You can narrow it down, but this is just to make sure you at least are not discussing the entire world. If you do not talk about a specific state park, you'll notice down here on overview of your selected issue, the 2 points, you won't be getting them. Because if you do a broad issue, it's harder. Like a lot of the stuff, I've had people just do it on like air pollution. There's books on that. It's just too much. I need you to focus it in. So that's why we have to pick a state or national park. You're going to identify an environmental issue that's facing your park. It's also why it's nice to pick a national or state park, especially national, because the National Park Service has all sorts of wonderful information that is just at your fingertips if you look at the website, and they'll tell you all this stuff. You can just go through and find what environmental issue that they're discussing that you think is really interesting and you want to focus on. So it makes it nice. Trying to save everybody time and effort. Then imagine you're asked to educate members of your park's community on this environmental issue. So you're going to be doing a PowerPoint. So because you're doing your people in your community, you're going to be wanting them to open their pockets, their wallets to give money. So you're going to think lots of pictures, some, like some really sad ones thrown in there, education, not too hardcore science technical language, but good science, right? So you're going to have an overview of your selected issue, 2 points as we said. It must be on a park that is state or national. And if you have something else you want to talk about, just private message me and I'll tell you if it's cool. Effects of the human activities on your community and biosphere. So this is the community of the park and also the biosphere of the park. It can also be if you're talking about a state park especially, you might have a community that's on the outskirts of the park, like a town that is also affected. So that could be brought in. Biotic, so animals and stuff, make sure you're specific, and abiotic, so like air and stuff that's not alive that are components that are involved in this issue. And then how the energy and materials flow through your park's local ecosystem. I expect to see energy flows with trophic levels and how this is related to your selected issue. So your issue is an environmental issue that's affecting the animals and everybody in your park. How is it affecting the various levels of this trophic? So what I would do is like a pretty little energy pyramid, and then with the trophic levels there, identify what species inside of them and say let's say aliens have landed. How does that affect, each level, each trophic? How does that affect my primary, my first, my second, the third? How is every, quaternary, whatever? How is everybody affected? Some actions those in your park's community can take to diminish the issues. So there's like the happy thought, like, stuff's bad, but what can we do to fix it? And then you have your APA, make sure you have at least 3 references. Okay, so over here in the overview, again, it's the same thing. It's all broken down, so hopefully it's a little easier. And that is, and just remember, you need this, I want at least 3 references. I have that and the instructions in UOP, and then also if there's no speaker notes, it's a 0 for format. Just don't do that. Make sure your in-text reference citations match your full references because it annoys me. Let's go open up PowerPoint just really quickly to show you again how to do those speaker notes in case you missed it in the week 2, I believe, assignment. So here I've opened up a blank slideshow. It usually starts like this. You see right now you don't see your speaker notes and you'll be freaking out like, where are they? Heather's gonna kill me. So you put your arrow down here. You see where it gets the double arrow? click and drag up, and then I have just nonsense. This is where you're going to put in all that information that's detailed. So the slide needs to be something you feel like the community people could understand, appreciate, feel a little heartbroken, like they need to give money, they need to help, or here's a map of the areas affected, you know, this is, how is this important to us kind of stuff. And then in speaker notes is going to be where you have like the paper, your harder science, what's going on, how this all relates, what's important about this, you know, like maybe I have a picture of the, what's it called? Not the Salton Sea. Salton Sea is what I'm looking for. So the Salton Sea, which has a bunch of dead fish in it, it's pretty depressing. So I would have, maybe I have a picture of it next to a picture of the migratory bird flights map, you know, where the birds are coming from and how important it is as a stopover. And then in here I would explain that. I'd be like, you know, it looks like the Salton Sea is totally pointless because it was artificially created, but now it's been there so long that it's an important stopover for the birds and we need to save it, blah, blah, blah. So all that would go down here. All the answering to the prompt hardcore would be down there. Make sure that if you do quote, you quote correctly, but as always, I prefer paraphrasing. Paraphrasing also requires in-text citations. If you in-text cite on the slide, especially for images, so let's talk about images first. So if I put an image on the slide and you find it everywhere on the web, it is common knowledge and you do not need an in-text citation. If that picture is specific to a certain website, I need to cite it. So I'll put the picture up here, below it or somewhere near it. I like below. I would put the in-text citation. The full reference citation would be then on my reference slide, which would be in order by alphabetical order, ABC order by the first word, ignoring the and, etc. Okay? So that's that. If I paraphrase, I also need those in-text citations. Again, all of those will be merged into the reference section in the reference slide. You don't need to do the hanging indents on the slide because the references, you would actually just put them on your slide. Don't use bullet points, just have them, skip a line between them. I understand that they don't have hanging indents because it's kind of a pain in the butt to do on a slide, so I just let it pass for this assignment or any PowerPoint. But just make sure that they're all on a reference slide. And this will be one of your required 12 slides, so it's not so bad. I believe it's 12. I just closed that, so we're going to say it is 12. I don't know. It's over here. I'm looking at the lab class, which you are not. 12 slides. Okay, so you'll do all that. If you do quote, only have quotes for an answer. So say you're talking about the energy flow and you only quote stuff. That will be considered at most half credit correct because I want to see your analysis of the information and not just simply a quote. For things like biosphere and biotic, especially biotic, for the biotic components, let's click back over there for a second. Okay, so I'm back over here on the rubric. So for the biotic stuff, where'd it go? There's A. Here's biotic. I need specific organisms in there. So don't say like fish. You're going to tell me which species. What is it? The something eye salmon. You know, the Omicus. Oh, what's it called? The big-eyed salmon. We're just going to call it that. Or like, you know, domesticated dog or whatever. Hopefully yours are more elaborate and better because you will be researching these things. So I want specific things. Don't just say deer. Is it the white-tailed spotted deer or whatever? I need them to be specific. Let's see if there's any other things I should bring up. Oh, for the energy flow, make sure you actually talk about energy flow. That's always good in material flow in the ecosystem. You need, again, to be specific here. So you want to really do is, I would say, do an energy pyramid and then pull out one specific food chain. So like maybe if I was doing a leopard gecko, I would talk about grains are eaten by mealworms, are eaten by the gecko, which is eaten by its predator, and then I would say how each step is effective and who's in what trophic level. So I could give you an example to cling on because you're giving this presentation to people who don't have the big science. So if you all say big, that's too much. They're not going to realize and not have a connection. So you need to bring it down to here's like a specific food chain that we're talking about. But you still need to show both. And then I already said talk about all that stuff. I already said talk about relating it to your issues, countermeasures, make sure stuff is happening. Okay. That looks like everything. Okay, if you have any questions, as always, feel free to send me a private message, send a draft for review. The sucker is worth 20 points. 20. So this is a grade changer. You know, 20% of your grade, man. If you are not doing well in this class, you see me rough draft after rough draft, we work on it together, you get 100, that increases your score by 20 points. You know, or the opposite. You screw up on this, don't do it last second and get a 0 because you didn't do something stupid, like put in a full reference citations that were APA, you are screwed. So just, you know, work on it early. Send me a draft. Let's work this out together. Knock it out. Make something you're proud of. You can be like, damn, I learned a lot in this class. Look at what I can do. So that's what I want you to feel like, is that this is like hard. It's a little bit, it can be a little intimidating because it is 20% of your grade, but it's also like when you accomplish it, you're going to be like, man, I could present this to my town council. I know what I'm doing. I made a presentation that makes people care. Like, this is something where I could do this, I could help this park, I could volunteer and then add it to my resume if I want to get a job in this field, always a suggestion. So there are things that you can, you know, you should be able to do, you can do this, you can feel good about this. I apparently can't talk in coherent sentences, but you can do this. And I'm going to get caffeine now. So send a draft. You know, be on top of it. Have fun with it. Pick a park that inspires you. Pick an environmental issue that you can really just dig into. You know, do something fun. Have a good time with it. But make sure you're on target. You address all the prompts. You're using your own words. You're paraphrasing. And just knock it out of the park.